I just paid $9,000 for this non-running Toyota MR2 Turbo. All I know is it's complete, has 52,000 miles, a clean title, and that its last emissions test was 10 years ago. It appears to be pretty straight, with the exception of this dent right here. The interior is not bad. It's a little bit dusty and there's a bunch of dog hair everywhere. It's also got this messed up shift boot. Well, let's get to it and see if I can get this thing running or if I just wasted a ton of money.
First thing I want to check was fuel delivery. Under the ashtray, the fuel pump wires come up. I put 12 volts directly to the pump here, did not hear anything telling me the pump had failed. Moving the splash shields under the car showed the coolant tubes and the tank going front to back. It was interesting for me. I've never been under an MR2. It's kind of cool seeing where the tank was. I wasn't expecting it to be in the center console of this vehicle. There's all the e-brake cable assemblies coming out and getting those out of the way so that the tank can come down. You see those two large tubes, those are going to be the coolant tubes, and there's some AC lines on the side as well there. I was able to get away with pulling the radiator, the coolant hoses off the front of these hard tubes and leaving them connected at the back. And when I disconnected all the fasteners down the coolant tubes, I could get them out of the way enough to get the tank down. Had to dance them around a little bit with the AC lines, but was able to make it work. I thought about using the plug you can see on the tank to drain the old gas out, but I was worried that I might damage the plug itself or the threads or crack the tank, and it wasn't worth it to me. So I ended up fighting the tank. There was about 5 gallons of bad gas in it. The driver's side coolant tube and AC line rigged up out of the way and move into the passenger side. I was thinking about trying to get the tank down with these in place, and there was no way. I don't think it would have been possible to get it down. These heat shields that are in front of the engine need to get out of the way so you can access the upper rear portion of the tank where the fuel lines come in and leave. There is no room to work on the upper rear portion of the gas tank on this car. The MR2 comes with a flare fitting on the pressure side fuel line. This was very, very tight. There's no way I could have undone this trying to use standard wrenches. The car led me on because right before this, when I was on the underside disconnecting the coolant tubes and all the tank supports, everything was going really smooth. And it wasn't until I got back here and had to disconnect the lines from the top of the tank where I found out what I was really in for. I don't wish having to disconnect that fitting on anybody. There is no room to work back there. And like I said earlier, I'm very surprised I was even able to get it disconnected without completely destroying it. Now that I've got all the lines disconnected from the top of the tank and tubes out of the way, let's get this tank out of the car. I did not know what I was in for pulling this tank out of the MR2. Gonna spray some degreaser on it, hit it with the pressure washer, get it cleaned up, and then we'll jump inside and see what it looks like. The pump was pretty nasty. The strainer didn't barely exist anymore. Earlier in the video, you saw when I applied 12 volts directly to the leads that run to the end of that green cable there, and there was nothing coming from the pump. So that's what told me it was dead. So we're going to get it pulled off the hanger here, get the new pump put on, get everything all cleaned up. I used a greaser and an old toothbrush, rinsed it off with the hose a few times, and ran some brake parts cleaner through the fuel lines to clean it out. It was pretty straightforward here. I didn't order an OE Toyota pump. I got a Delphi one from Rock Auto. Looks similar. The strainer was a little bit different style, but everything still went in the hanger. Due to there being some corrosion on the terminals that connect to the pump, I wanted to test for resistance through the leads all the way to the connector. I hooked my multimeter between the terminal at the fuel pump and the connector, and the resistance was essentially 0. I definitely didn't want to have to pull this tank again, so I decided to test the fuel level sending unit. I hooked up my multimeter. I tested a couple of the different leads on the plugs. I wasn't sure which ones they were, but after trying a couple of them, I was able to find out which ones had the resistance vary based on the position of the fuel level sender. With the fuel level sending unit appearing to be working correctly and the new fuel pump, it's time to get everything put back into the tank. I didn't mention it earlier, but inside the tank, it was a little bit rough looking. There were dry white small flakes along the sides of the tank. I put some degreaser in, let it soak overnight, and built a little 90-degree adapter for my pressure washer. So I was able to put it in each of the holes on the top of the tank and blast the sides of it. And then I rinsed it a ton of times afterwards, and it looked great. My methods are by no means perfect, so leave me some feedback. I'd love to hear it, good or bad, so I can learn and hopefully be better on projects going forward. Here it is, all ready to go back in. At this point, I'm really excited to see if I've got fuel pressure and if we can get this thing fired up. Next up was getting everything all cleaned up and getting this tank physically in place. This wasn't so bad until you had to get back on top of the rear part of the tank again and hook up all the lines. That was just as unfun as it was the first time around.
Just finished hooking up the fuel line, the pressure side, and the return on the back of the tank. We're going to put 12 volts to it now and do a test, see if we're getting any leaks at the bottom or anywhere along the fuel system. I haven't heard a fuel pump turn in this tank yet, so let's see if this works here. Don't know if you can hear that, but the pump sounds like it's going. And it just went under load. So I'm thinking we got fuel pressure.
Went back under the car to get the tank supported and get the coolant tubes hooked back up, see if we can get this thing started.
I just buttoned up the coolant tubes on the bottom. I didn't hook everything else up. Just a test here to see if the thing will start before we finalize everything underneath. Let's see. after it didn't start the first time, I got a little bit bummed. I went on to some different forums and started looking at issues why I could have a no start condition with fuel pressure. There's a ton of them. Ended up looking into the EFI fuse and found out that it was blown. I checked voltage, had 12 volts on one side of the fuse, and the other side of the fuse did not. Replaced it, and we're gonna see if it starts right now. So he's got that little late 90s kill switch thing on it. I think that should do it. Come on. Here we go. Look at that. Sounds all right.
I definitely didn't waste any time after getting it started. Jumped right underneath, started buttoning everything up. It's a super cool car, really unique. I'm sure there's tons of quirks that I'm not familiar with, as this is the only work I've done on the thing so far. So if anybody can give me a heads up on anything else to expect or know about these cars, I'd appreciate it. There's a couple things I still want to get going on it. For whatever reason, the side view mirrors, they flop front to back. They're loose. Something's wrong with the detent or whatever's supposed to hold them in the right position. And I'm really not a fan of the wheels that the previous owner put on it, but I don't know if I want to spend a bunch of money on that or if I'm going to be keeping the car or what exactly, but definitely let me know. So at this point, I've got $9,500 into this thing. It's no longer a non-running car. So I'm pretty excited about that. I was a little scared at a couple points. All right, we'll see what's next. The plan is to get this thing running real good, so we'll see how it goes. Thanks for watching.